Hello and welcome to another episode of our Let's Talk Transfer series. My name is Ozzie and I'm joined here with a very special guest, Yannicka from Yan City ENT. Yannicka, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Really excited to speak to you about Man City. So we can sort of crack on with the transfers. But before we do, I'd like to get your opinion about last season. So for the neutral, I guess it was a success because obviously you were champions.
Yeah.
You made it to the Champions League final. You also won a League Cup. As a Man City fan, do you regard that as a success?
Yeah, I think going into every season, our fan base in particular, they want to win the league. That's the big one.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Champions League, something we do want to win. No one can deny that. That being said, it's a cup competition. So it's not something I think you can expect to win. It's something that you win, you know, when you're the best team, you know, in the competition, but also you need a bit of luck, you know, and that might be luck as in luck within the game, or it could be that your striker stays fit for the whole season, or it could be you know, something like that. So what I wanted at the start of last season was us to win the league, because obviously Liverpool were champions before that. So it was to win the league and to get further in the Champions League, because obviously we hadn't been past the quarters in some time. So that was what I wanted. We actually went one step further than that and got to a final. So yeah, I think it was a bit of a weird season for everyone. I don't think City were particularly strong all the way through. I think they started badly. They got better in the middle, and then they kind of weren't as good at the end. So yeah, to get 2 trophies in a season like that, can't really complain, to be honest.
No, I totally get that, because I think at the beginning of the season, you probably had a very poor start in terms of your sort of expectations.
Yeah.
And then it was around the time where Liverpool on top, and then Liverpool just had a disastrous sort of middle end of the season where they had numerous injuries. And then Manchester United picked up form as well. So I think you guys maintained a great level of form, especially when De Bruyne was out. So you had Gundogan, who took over the mantelpiece and literally scored a couple goals every game. So he was definitely the sort of the man. For me, he's one of the best players for Man City last season, if I'm honest with you. So I think he was fantastic throughout. In terms of the Champions League final, just want to get your thoughts on that quickly. The tactics that was deployed by Pep Guardiola, were you surprised when you saw the lineup? And do you think the reaction from Man City fans, but also neutral fans, was a bit over the top after the final?
I think, you know, we always have known with Pep, he, you know, makes decisions. I think he's a genius. When it works, it's brilliant. When it doesn't, you know, he gets a lot of stick. So it's one of them. It's risky. Consistently, it does work, because we tend to win trophies year in, year out. Champions League, I thought he'd kind of got past it, because obviously Leon, he made a bit of a dodgy lineup and everyone was a bit confused about what they were doing, and there was a poor performance from us. So this season, we'd been like perfect in the Champions League, hadn't lost a game. We were just every game he was putting out the best team and they were playing well. And I thought, oh, City actually might win this thing. And then it got to the final and Pep decided, let's just change everything. And, you know, I think not playing a DM against a team like Chelsea is criminal in itself. Not only was it not a DM, it was also our captain. And in games like a Champions League final, you need your captain to be the one to kind of get your players over the line. And obviously he didn't come on till I think it was too late. I think Chelsea were always going to score one and win the game, you know. So we needed to be the first team to score to have any chance of winning that game, or at least keep it 0-0 for as long as possible. We didn't do that. So, yeah, I kind of, when I saw the lineup, I did say 1-0 Chelsea. And I was right. So it's a bit annoying. But you know what? I just think realistically, I did expect us to lose our first ever Champions League final, just because that seems to be the way that it goes for a lot of teams. But the fact that we got into a final against Chelsea, who we know well, who I think were a better team than, I think they missed an opportunity, to be honest. And I think who knows? Maybe we would have lost anyway, but at least if we'd have played our best team, we could have held our hands up and said, look, on the day, they were better than us, and that's why they won. But I just think we shot ourselves in the foot before it had even kicked off, and that's my issue with it.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. I think, not to play Fernandinho was just criminal. I think Pep does kind of overthink his tactics as well, so that might have come into play because I remember seeing his interview with Rio Ferdinand, and he just seemed so bullish about his tactics. Like, I know how they play. We'll get the win, sort of thing. And I think that probably led to the fan base being overconfident as well. So it was a big surprise for me. I think Chelsea at that time were defensively probably one of the top teams in Europe. I think they were a very difficult team to break down. So, like I said, I think whoever scored first would have had an advantage in regards to that. So, I think that's a bit. Yeah, I totally agree with you in that one. Just got to comment. Big up Ozzie and the City fans. So, I think it might be someone you know, Rayan.
Yeah, it's Ryan. Yeah, he's a Liverpool.
Oh, the fan. Oh, so we'll get on nicely then. That's good. We can speak afterwards. So, let's review the sort of departments of your squad. So, goalkeeper, I think it's fair to say that it doesn't require much improvement. We can speak about Ederson. What did you think of his performance last season? Because when you first signed him, I wasn't aware of him that much from his Benfica days, but I've been so impressed in terms of how he plays, his ability on the ball, which at this stage is expected from a modern goalkeeper. But I feel like he surpasses so many, and he's a good shot stopper as well. So, what did you make of his performance overall?
Yeah, I think like he's won the Golden Glove back to back. I think it is. So obviously he's been doing quite well, but I think a lot of people would say before, because of the way Man City play, we don't really do that much defending. So he's kind of got it because City were so good. Whereas I think last season, in particular, I felt like he really stepped up last season. I thought he fully deserved that, Golden Glove. There was times where City weren't great, and he would kind of just save everything in them sorts of games, and we'd keep a clean sheet and then we'd win. So I think he was really good last season. Obviously, we know what he can do on the ball. He got an assist against Spurs. Like, he gets assists anyway.
Yeah.
Crazy. He wants to take penalties, but Pep's saying no. But I'm sure he would put them away. So it's just he's a bit of a madman. But he fits perfectly into City's squad, and I don't think, based on his age, I don't think he's in his prime, because goalkeepers normally are in their prime in their mid-30s, and he's mid-20s. So he's quite young. So we've got quite a lot of time. I think he's just signed a 3-year extension, or he is in the process of signing. So he should be here till at least 2026, I think it is.
I see.
So I like Ederson. He's just, the way he plays it is risky, because if it goes wrong, it looks embarrassing. If it works, then it's brilliant. So one of them, he's a bit like a Pep. It's brilliant. When it doesn't, oh gosh.
Yeah, I think a lot. If you look back in history, there's always top goalkeepers that can be quite erratic just because of their sort of personality. So I'd rather have a goalkeeper where he's keeping clean sheets for most of the time. Maybe makes that odd mistake here and there, but end of the day we're all human, so it's kind of expected in regards to that. But I think he was really consistent last year, because there were games I think in previous years where he would make that mistake during the game, and then you could see his confidence drop a little bit as well. That wasn't the case for me this the season that's just gone. So I feel like that's probably down to experience, a bit of maturity as well. So that's what I feel as well. In terms of your second choice goalkeeper, Steffen. So he didn't make many appearances last season. So I'm not sure if So what do you make of him, and do you think he's the right sort of quality to have as a second choice goalkeeper?
Do you know what? He is solid. I do quite like Steffen. He's not quite Ederson, so it's difficult for him. He did fill in for us a bit. Obviously, he does play in the cup competitions, and we do tend to do well in the cup competitions. So, that kind of speaks to him. That being said, he did also come in, the Chelsea game where we won 3-1, and that kind of went on to make us go on that incredible run that we went on. He was actually goalkeeper in that game. Okay. So yeah, he's stepped up a few times. I don't think he's as good as Edison. So it's quite hard sometimes when people compare the both of them, because he's not as comfortable on his feet, and his position is not as good. But he is young, and he's willing to kind of be a number 2, because a lot of goalkeepers nowadays, they want to be number 1, and if they're not number 1, they're not happy. So I like Steffen. We'll obviously have to see how well he does. But he's solid. He's solid. He seems to be doing okay in the cups and when we've needed him. So
yeah. I think that's the way forward, to be honest, because if you look at all the other sort of top teams in the Premier League, like Liverpool, for example, I'm a Liverpool fan, so we've got Kelleher, who's a good young up-and-coming goalkeeper. You've got Manchester United, they've got Henderson. So it's quite difficult to get a like-for-like number 2, because they won't be happy playing, sitting on the bench all the time. So you do need to find your balance where is it better to get an experienced head or a young up-and-coming goalkeeper who can learn the ropes under an elite goalkeeper like Edison, for example. So that was quite interesting to know, because I haven't seen much of him, so I wanted to get your perspective on him.
He doesn't play too much, but it's more like cup competitions. So.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Just got a comment here from Rayan. Ozzie asked Yan about Kane. Don't worry, we're going to go through the strikers later on, because there's a lot of speculation with regards to attackers going to Man City. So we'll definitely cover that later on in the show. Defense. So after analysing the squad, this is my personal opinion. I feel like Man City lack a top quality left back. Mendy, for me, I'll be honest with you, when he first signed for Man City, I was like a bit concerned. I thought, he's a top left back, because the way he played in the Champions League for Monaco the season before, he was spectacular. So I was like, do you know what? They've got a good one here. But I think injuries has definitely affected his form and affected sort of having any run in the team. Zinchenko as well, for me, is a good sort of player to have in the squad. But I feel like maybe, I don't know what you think, but at this time, maybe signing an elite left back, maybe something to consider for Pep. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously Zinchenko is a midfielder who we've kind of made into a left back, the same as Del before that. So yeah, we've not really had much luck with left backs, to be honest, at Man City. Mendy, I agree with you. When he came in, I was like, yes, he was someone that I really, really wanted. He came in, he did well in the beginning, and then he just got injured, and he's not been able to recover. I feel a bit sorry for him, because I think he needs a run of games to get back to anywhere near his best. And the problem is, because Man City play in, they're playing to win every single competition. We don't have a competition where we can be like, oh, we'll just play him every week. And, if we play him every week and we end up losing 4 Premier League games in a row, we probably don't win the Premier League. So we can't really afford to give him that time that he probably needs. So I do feel sorry for him. I think at the moment, the plan for City is to kind of let him run his contract down, and then just, we go our separate ways, and, there's no sort of hard feelings either way. And then we'll probably replace him then. Apparently that's the plan, because we were linked with Mendes from Sporting Lisbon, I think, because they've got Porro, who's our player, on the right. But obviously we don't need a right back. So the plan was apparently for us to kind of give them our right back and take their left back with some money or whatever. But it didn't work out like that. So now apparently City are saying they're not going to sign a left back. So yeah, I think we're going to have to see. I do like Zinchenko. He's been solid, but I agree with you. I think if we're going to go and try and win the Champions League and stuff like that, you just need, a natural left back, even if he's not the best ever, just, he's natural, the movements and stuff are natural to him on that left-hand side. So I think, we definitely do need a left back eventually. But see what.
If you were City manager, who would you sign as your left back?
See, I actually liked that Mendes guy. I thought he looks quite good. He's young as well. I probably would sign someone like that. Left backs are not too it's not like they used to be where there was more left backs. There's not too many. Like Liverpool have been lucky that you kind of got one through your academy. Man United obviously spent a lot of money on Shaw quite a few years ago now, and even it took him a while to get to the level that he's now at. So it's quite difficult. So I don't really know. There's that guy from Bayern Munich.
Oh, Alfonso Davis.
Yeah. So there's a few around, but to get them would be very difficult. So
yeah, I think at this stage, even Davis, for example, he's not a natural left back either. He's sort of been converted to play in that position, but it is one of those tricky positions. Liverpool quite fortunate because we got Robertson for 8 million, but then we sold another youth player for 8 million, so it's kind of like having him on a free transfer. So we were quite fortunate with that.
But you signed Robertson from Hull. Was it Hull?
Hull City, yeah, exactly. So good piece of business there. So centre backs. So after reviewing your squad, I find it quite interesting that you've got 2 left-footed centre backs. For you, is that the right balance to have in a squad? Because coming from a Liverpool fan, we had all of our defenders injured last year. So if we were left with 2 left-footed centre backs, that's not an orthodox sort of pairing that you'd have in the team. Is that something you'd be concerned about, or do you think it sort of works because you've got Stones and Diaz who form such a formidable partnership, and they don't tend to get injured as much? So is that something you'd look into, maybe not maybe this summer, but next summer maybe?
Yeah, I think because we obviously got Diaz to partner Laporte. That was the idea. Yeah. It didn't quite work out like that. And then Diaz and Stones played so well together. You couldn't really drop Stones last season, so because Stones and Laporte played well together and Stones and Diaz played well together. So it was one of them where it was difficult. I do think this season we will see Laporte and Diaz. I think they will be the main centre-back partnership. I just think the form that John Stones has been in is great, but I do expect it to dip slightly
interesting.
At some point. So if that happens, I think Laporte will come in. Laporte played well at the Euros. So it could be, it could even be technically him and Stones at the beginning. We don't really know.
Yeah.
But I think Pep will just change it up a bit. We did, a lot of people talk about Aki. I think we bought Aki because we were going for Koulibaly. And I think the idea is that you get someone that's at the, late end of his career, which would be Koulibaly, who would be turning 30. And then get Nathan Aki, who's a bit younger, so he can kind of come in alongside him, if you know what I mean. And I think we then went and bought someone younger than Aki. But I don't think that was the plan. I think the plan was to get Koulibaly. And that's why we got Aki. So, I think maybe he could even develop as a left back. Pep likes changing people's positions. Yeah. Who knows? Because I do feel a bit sorry for Aki because I don't think he was supposed to be coming in with someone younger. I think he was supposed to be coming in with someone older. So I do feel a bit sorry for him. But we'll just have to see who Pep likes because, all 4 of them are good players. And we've waited a long time for this because, Vincent Kompany, next to him, he had Demichelis, Lescott. He didn't have the best players next to him. So it's nice to have sort of 3 to 4 good centre-backs. Yeah, it's been a while.
What do you make of the departure of Eric Garcia to Barcelona? How did you feel when that news broke?
City fans hate him,
Really?
I don't hate him, but City do you know what? I don't know why. I think there was some stat that I read about every game that he played last season, we conceded an average of 3 goals or something like that. It's how? Yeah. It's madness. It's madness. He's even got people thinking Aki is really bad because him and Aki played together. I think in that 5-3 against Leicester and stuff like that. But he's when he first came in, obviously he came kind of through the youth sort of thing.
Yeah.
He was at Barcelona and then he came over and he kind of came up through our youth system. And he looked all right. But if you see videos of him at Barcelona, he was like scoring goals, like doing all this madness. He didn't really do that for City. He was kind of like just a short centre-back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He didn't really work out for him at City. He's gone back to Barcelona. So we'll see how he does there. But I don't think he's the best, if I'm being honest. He did a job in that season where we had injuries and we had, Fernandinho coming in. He did all right in that season. But, I don't think he was good enough for City. Definitely not good enough to start. So.
Yeah, I think because he was flirting with a move to Barcelona for like a good year or two now, I think that's probably rubbed City fans the wrong way. But I'll be honest with you, speaking as a neutral, whenever I saw him play, I was never impressed. I didn't really see the hype around him whatsoever. Maybe for Barcelona, he was a different player, but in the City shirt, I just didn't really see the hype, if I'm honest with you. So
no. And I think that's what annoyed City fans, because Pep was playing him over players that wanted to be there. And it's like, at least play someone that wants to be at the club, and people like Laporte, I don't blame them for saying things like, I want to leave, because, if you're not starting and then Garcia plays, it doesn't really make any sense. And, I think he just kind of, if you want to leave, just let him go. It's not, I didn't see the point in playing him really.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that, because whenever I saw him, I wasn't impressed with him. So I was quite surprised to see why he had so much hype under his name. So I don't think he would be a loss to City, if I'm honest with you there. So we can speak about the midfield now. So I think it's quite obvious to say that a midfielder is required in the Man City squad. Probably, in my opinion, a more sort of box-to-box type of midfielder. So there are strong rumours of Jack Grealish possibly joining Man City. And there's also sort of like talks or speculation that Pep actually sees him playing as a number 8 in your midfield. Do you see him playing that role? And do you think he'll be a success under that sort of position?
Well, Grealish himself says that he can play anywhere. He can play as an 8, a 10. He can play wherever he's required, which Pep would love, because that's like music to Pep's ears. He loves that sort of thing. Which, I don't mind it. It's better if a player can play in more than one position, obviously. So, I think if he did come into City, he could potentially play there. If not out on the wing, or maybe, number 10. I don't really know. It depends where he wants to play Bruyne, I suppose. But I actually really want Grealish. That is a signing that I actually want, to be honest. We've not had, like, since Yaya, that kind of superstar player that will just win you a game on his own. We have De Bruyne, but De Bruyne's under a lot of pressure, because everyone kind of knows, let's just mark out De Bruyne. We need like another option. So, because I've noticed when De Bruyne doesn't play, Gundogan plays better, Bernardo Silva plays better, and it's just because they have more time and space, because no one really knows what's going to happen. Whereas when we play at the moment, it's kind of like if you stop, De Bruyne. Before that, it was if you stop David Silva. It's kind of all our play would kind of go through them, and I think we're a little bit less predictable when he doesn't play, and I think it's because of that. So if we have Grealish, they're not going to really know where the ball's going to go. Is it going to go to Grealish? Is it going to go to De Bruyne? And I think it will help us. Obviously, Jack's a great player. I think he would get a lot better under Pep as well.
Yeah,
so,
I think if we played that number 8 position, I think that'd be game over for a lot of teams, if I'm honest with you, because it will kind of, for me, it would sort of have a comparison to when you had Silva and De Bruyne in the team. So you've got 2 attacking number 8s, and then you've got one DM who's going to clean up shop and basically just do the dirty work behind them. So I can actually see him doing really well in that number 8 position. People have said that he might be playing more for the wing. I think he can play in the left wing position, for example. But I think under Pep's training, under sort of his philosophy, you can just see him just having the ball possession most of the time, and it's making things tick throughout the game. So I think
Folden on the wing or like Sterling.
Yeah.
And then Mahrez on the other side. That's what I think it will be.
Yeah. We've got a comment here actually about Sterling. So with Sterling's performances in the Euros, does he deserve more time in City's starting 11?
Do you know what? It's interesting because Sterling actually plays a lot. He plays because he's like Pep's favourite player. Like he plays a lot. The only reason why last season he didn't play as much because his form was quite poor. I don't want to say all season. A lot of people are saying he was terrible last season. He actually was all right in that run that we went on, you know, where we won like 12 games in a row. He was good in that. He scored 9 goals last season. And I think most of his 9 goals were in that sort of 12-game period. You know what I mean? He scored home and away against Arsenal, the only goal that, you know, won us the games. And, you know, he was all right. It wasn't as poor a season as everyone makes out, but he definitely wasn't anywhere near his best. We kind of saw the best of him in the Euros. That's the Sterling that we love, you know, at City. So it'd be nice if he continues that on into next season. I think he'll play a lot. He tends to play a lot for City anyway. The only way I can see him not playing is if Mahrez is in the form of his life and Phil Foden is in the form of his life. And it's like there's nowhere to really fit him in. But knowing Pep, he'll just play in false 9 if we don't buy a striker. So, yeah, I think he'll definitely play. We'll just have to see how much.
For me, he's a star. I can't see him not being played at all. I think he's one of the first names on the team sheet. That's how I see it anyway. So I think it's Sterling and another winger. It's not between the other wingers, in my opinion. So, and I think in the Euros, it's quite evident in terms of how important he is to a team.
Oh, yeah.
And like he doesn't need to score the spectacular 30-yard shots, but he's clinical. He has improved his end product regarding his one-on-one finishing. Even his crossing has improved as well since his Liverpool days. So for me, I think he's a top kind of shoe-in for that team.
What a lot of City fans say about Sterling as well is when he plays with like a number 9, like a, you know, an out-and-out striker, number 9, whatever you want to call it. When he plays with an actual striker, he performs better than when he plays with a false 9. And I think the fact we played like a false 9 system didn't really suit him last season. And I think that's why we saw what we saw. In the Euros when he was playing with Harry Kane, you know, we saw him improve. So I think a lot of City fans were saying, if we're going to get a striker, keep Sterling. If we're going to insist on a false 9, then just sell him, because there's no point in playing a system that doesn't suit him and then expecting him to have the level of performance that we need. It's not really fair on him. So I think we are going to get a number 9. So he should take this form that he's got now into next season, hopefully.
Yeah. We've just got another comment from Rayan. Basically, Kevin, the cross merchant, is overrated and they're a better team without him. Yeah, I can't sign that. Sorry.
He's got a De Bruyne agenda. It's all right. You wanted him at Liverpool. We get it.
Well, speaking of agenda, he's also said, according to some people, because I think Sterling is a bit overrated, I've finally got an agenda. Yeah, I rate Sterling. So, I think you probably do have a bit of agenda. I think a lot of Liverpool fans do. They still hold that grudge that he left the club in those terms. But I think we'll just move on from that, if I'm honest with you. So Jack Grealish seems to be the guy that you may possibly signing in the summer. But let's say for some reason that move didn't happen. Is there another centre mid that you would like to see in the club? So I can give you a few names to help.
Yeah.
So there has been, I remember seeing reports a few months ago of a player called Zakaria, who plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach. But he's more of a defensive mid. So I'm not sure he would be the type of player you'd want to go for box to box. But Goretzka from Bayern Munich, someone I rate very, very highly, who's stalling on contract talks right now. Barella from Inter Milan, who had a great Euros, and Saul Niguez, who's been linked with Liverpool, United, all teams right now, to be honest with you. His agent's working hard, as you can tell. Are any of those players appeal to you in that City team?
Do you know what? All 4 of them are good players, so I wouldn't turn down any of them, to be honest. Yeah. I think we played Mönchengladbach quite a few times, so I know more about Zakaria, but it's just, you know what, I don't know, because like it's who Pep wants and who Pep thinks will fit in his system, because I think we were linked to, I think it was Sol, the first one that we were linked to out of them, but then it kind of died down. But that's because they were saying that Bernardo Silva wanted to go to Atletico, and it was kind of like, you know, it was kind of like, oh, would you swap him, you know, with some money or whatever? But it didn't come around. I don't know. I think Grealish looks like it's the most realistic.
Yeah.
The others, I'm not too sure. Because with Man City, like, they used to do business where, like, when we bought Bernardo Silva, I remember seeing reports saying he's in Manchester, and Man United fans were buzzing because they thought it was them, because he'd been linked to them. And then the next minute it was like, oh, we've got a surprise for you, and it was him. So it was a bit strange. I don't know. Man City could just not be linked with any of them, and then all of a sudden you see that one of them's in Manchester and he's signed for City. So I don't really know. I don't really have like a preference out of them names, because I don't watch enough of the other leagues to be like, yeah, I definitely want him.
Yeah.
But yeah, from what I've seen of all four, I wouldn't turn any of them down, to be honest.
Okay, we've got a comment here from Ryan. Ozzie, got a question for you. Pogba or the cross motion? Some people don't like to face the truth. I'll be honest with you. For me, it's De Bruyne. I do like Pogba as well, but I feel like De Bruyne is more consistent, has more end product. Whereas Pogba, you're kind of wishing him to be the player that De Bruyne is. That's how I see it. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that's the answer you wanted, but for me, it's De Bruyne. I think he's one of the best players in the world right now. So that's my opinion on that. And he's got another comment. If we get Saul, I'm going to be so unbearable. Do you know what? I'll probably join the queue there as well, because that is a player that I would love to see at Liverpool. But at this stage, I'm not sure who Liverpool will sign, because we went from being linked with players like Saul, and now we're linked to players like West Ham, like Bowen and McGinn at Aston Villa, respectively. So, yeah, we'll see. That's another episode. We'll have to cover Liverpool transfers another time, because that's a bit of a heartache right now. But yeah, we'll speak about that another time, I guess. But on to attack. So obviously the legend Sergio Aguero has left the club and joined Barcelona, and Harry Kane seems to be the man linked to take over and lead the strike force for Man City. Is he your sort of first choice striker to replace Aguero?
Nah. You know what? I'm not a massive fan of Harry Kane. I'm not gonna lie. I hate, like, when I have this conversation with people, they think that I'm like disrespecting Harry Kane and I don't rate him and all that. I do rate him. I think he's been the best striker in the league. Obviously, I prefer Aguero, but Aguero, with his injuries and stuff like that, he was not as consistent towards the end. So, yeah, Harry Kane has been the best. If he came to Man City, he would score a lot of goals, simply because De Bruyne puts it on a plate for players. So, you know, he would score a lot with Man City. He wouldn't have to do any of the sort of defensive work that he does at Spurs, because he can kind of just stay up front and just wait for a cross. He can do that, you know, if he wanted to. So he would score a lot of goals. My concern with him is more how he's performed in big games. And a lot of people are saying, well, when he joins Man City, you know, he'll be like that. But that's not always the case. Do you know what I mean? There's some players that just don't turn up in big games, regardless of what team you go to. And then you get your big game players. Like, we had Leroy Sané, like, he was a big game player. Like, when we had a game that we needed to win, Leroy Sané was there. He didn't score week in, week out, you know, against everyone. But if we had a big game, he would turn up. Yaya Toure is another one. You know, he would turn up in the big games. He would turn up most games, but, you know, in the big games, he was definitely there. And he could carry us over the line when we needed him to. And I don't know if Harry Kane does that. Obviously, I hope that I'm wrong if we sign him. I want to be proven wrong. I want him to lift that Champions League, and I can say, oh, God, I got it wrong. That's what I want. But I don't think I've got it wrong. I think that if he comes, I think he will be fine in the league. We'll probably win the league with Harry Kane, no doubt. But I think when it comes to like the Champions League, you know, an FA Cup final, that sort of stuff, I'm not so sure that he, you know, if we need it. So say we perform badly in the final, is he going to be that Yaya Toure that will just go out and individually score a goal to win you that trophy? I'm not so sure.
That's an interesting assessment, to be honest. Rayan has just said it's not Kane's fault. He doesn't do a lot in big games. He's at Spurs. Yeah, Spurs fans are going to like hearing that. But yeah, I guess that's the point as well. He said you could also win the quadruple with Kane.
No, we won't. We
definitely won't. So if Sir Harold Edward Kane joins City, I'm not watching the Premier League again. Best striker in the world.
Oh,
Rayan's definitely got a love for Harry Kane there. It's an interesting one because I think last season, for me, that was most impressed about Harry Kane was his assist, that he was able to actually produce a lot of number of assists. So I think that's something that he's added to his game. He needs that move now. And I think due to like the financial sort of constraints with a lot of clubs due to the pandemic and stuff, I think it's only Man City that would actually pay that top dollar for him. Is he a Pep type of striker? He's completely different to Aguero because Aguero is a lethal striker, plays on the shoulder, and he's an unbelievable finisher. So is Harry Kane as well. But Harry Kane can drop deep as well and lead the line at the same time. So it kind of suits the system you guys played last season when you had that false nine. So for me, he's not a bad fit. But if I was the owners, I'd probably be going towards Haaland. That'd be the guy that I would want. So let me put that question to you. If you could choose any striker, who would it be?
Yeah, it'd definitely be Haaland. I think it's, you know, I like Haaland. I think he's, you know, he's putting up ridiculous numbers already. I think with him, the way I see it is he's low risk because, yes, he's going to cost a lot of money. But like I say, if he comes to Man City like Kane, he will get a lot of goals because it's literally going to be put on a plate for him and he will score a lot of goals. He's clinical, so is Kane. You know, this sort of thing, if you're a clinical striker at Man City, you're going to get a lot of goals naturally because there's so many players that can give you the ball. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to get a lot of goals. I think if Harry Kane doesn't work at Man City, is probably, if he comes in, probably be on like a 5-year deal. Yeah. In 5 years, he'll be 34, 33, I think it is. So he'll be 33. You know, it's not quite got another move in him. Like he might have maybe one, but it's unlikely. Chances are he would sign a 1-year extension and then a 1-year extension and then retire. That's probably what would happen. Whereas with Haaland, if Haaland comes and he doesn't quite do what we need him to do, you can probably still sell him and he probably won't even be in his prime yet, just based on his age. So I would go for Haaland personally. At one point it was kind of like Harry Kane was going to be 100 million and Haaland was going to be close to 200 mil, but it's kind of like getting closer together. So I don't know. And then you've got like Mbappe, who's got 1 year left on his contract. You know, what I don't want to do is spend 150 million on Kane and then in a year's time, you know, Mbappe goes somewhere for 85 mil. And we're like, what are we doing? So, I don't think Harry Kane is the best option. I would take him if he was cheaper with no, you know, I'd just be like, just get him in. But I just think for the money he's going to cost, I'm not quite sure he's worth it personally.
No, that's a fair assessment because as much as, you know, we like to play this sort of like fantasy football as fans, you have to think in business terms as well. So if you were to sign Harry Kane for 100 million, for example, and let's say it didn't quite work out, there is no resale value after that, unfortunately. And if you were to sell him, you'd be making a big loss. And I'm talking like probably end up selling back to Tottenham for like 25 million or something. It's a big gamble to do, especially at this stage where clubs are quite careful in terms of how they're spending their money on players right now. Haaland, for me, he's literally just come on the scene. And for me, his roof is so high that I feel like he's going to get better and better. So, and the same goes with Mbappe as well. But some people, you know, I've got Rayan here. And no, Mbappe is overrated, pace merchant. Yeah, I can't agree with that. You know, Liverpool fans are dreaming of Mbappe right now. So that's not something we don't want to hear right now. But if someone did present that question to me for my team, I would literally go for Haaland, because that is a clinical striker there, and he will get you goals regardless what type of goal it is. He will be able to do it because he's a goal machine, and his game is to score goals. So there's no other way.
Haaland as well is Man City are quite a small team. Like, we're quite small. They're not big, you know, and he is just massive, you know, and that in the box is a threat on its own. You know, we don't really have that. You know, we have a bunch of small kind of little skillful kind of players, like your Bernardo Silva, your Raheem Sterling, before that David Silva. You know, so to get someone in that's a big unit in the box, like that's, you know, that's different to what we've got. Yeah, Kane is tall, but Kane's not as big, you know what I mean? No. So
he doesn't offer pace as well, whereas Haaland does. Haaland can stretch defenders as well. So some of the goals he scored last season, where it was practically from the counterattacks with him and Sancho doing a lot of 1-2s. So yeah, Harry Kane doesn't really have pace in abundance in regards to that. So no, I think that's a fair assessment. If I was the City owner, I'd probably look at Haaland more than anyone else, to be fair. So another player I'd like to speak about quickly is Phil Folden. So had a great season for City. For me, didn't do as well as probably expected in the Euros. Where do you see his sort of long-term position? Because from the outside, I thought he was going to be the natural successor for David Silva, playing as a number 8 in the midfield. But he's played on the left wing, right wing, and he's done it for England as well. So from what you've seen, where do you think is his sort of long-term position?
See, I don't know, because he is quite versatile as well.
Yeah.
When he first, obviously David Silva's his idol. Bernardo Silva was supposed to be David Silva's replacement, but even he has not really played solely there, you know. Big up the but yeah, he's not even just kind of stayed in that one position. He's kind of out on the wing, false 9. You know, Pep kind of moves everyone around. Foden, I'm not so sure. He's done all right on the left this season for us. So I don't know if that's where he's going to stay, or whether I don't really know with Phil Foden, because I think if I had to choose between him or Jack in the midfield, I'd probably pick Jack in terms of in the midfield, and then I'd probably put him out on the wing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends. I don't really know. I think it'd be up to what he wants to play and where Pep thinks he's best suited, because he was kind of killing it out on the wing, especially in the Champions League. Because with Foden, he played a lot of our Champions League games, more so than the Prem. So he was kind of out on the wing. He was causing Dortmund all sorts of problems. He was causing PSG all sorts of problems. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he does play. I think he'll probably stay out on the left for now, but it just depends, because like you say, if Sterling remains in this form and Mahrez is in the form that he's been in, like he's already scored a fantastic free kick, like in the friendly. Obviously, it's not, you know, the Prem, but you know, he's just showing what he can do. So yeah, I think them two might be the starting wingers, and then it would be where Foden fits in at that point. So I don't know.
I think he'll play on the wings a bit more. I think if you do end up signing Jack Grealish, I think he'll be playing more on the left, or more on the right, where he cuts in and can score goals as well. So that's probably not his long-term position, but he's still young. I guess it is probably good for his development to play in different positions, and it can sort of add to his game at the same time. So got the Dugout Football Channel here. Kane better than Aguero, no chance. I don't think neither of us had said that. So yeah, that's definitely.
No, the only thing I would say is in the last couple of years, he's been more consistent, because Aguero's kind of just been injured, and then it takes him a few games to get back, and then by the time he gets back, he gets injured again. It's like last season was pretty bad for Aguero. because I love Aguero. When he left, I've never been so upset at a player leaving in my life.
Really?
I was so upset that he left, but it's not really gonna hit till next season when it's like, where's Aguero? He's not here. Like even the kit launch, like it's always Aguero kit, and it's like there's just no Aguero. It's a bit mad. So
I think for me it is the injuries, unfortunately, that sort of takes that away from him, because for me he's one of the best strikers in Premier League history. I think he's such an amazing finisher. And he's been playing at City for 10 years as well. So we've been able to see him play week in, week out, or scoring high number of goals and quality goals. I think his finishing is just unbelievable. He reminds me of like Romario from back in the day, because his finishing was literally, you do the toe punt here and there, but he'll score goals. Doesn't matter how he scores it, he'll score the goal. And he can score some unbelievable strikes as well at the same time. So he literally had a bag of goals in him, and he could score any type of goal. So definitely will be a loss. I think that's going to be a part of City's team where it will be quite difficult to replace, but it will depend on who they sign going forward. So we've more or less done the analysis of the whole squad there. After looking at your squad, you don't have a lot of deadwood comparison to like Liverpool. We've got a lot of players we're trying to get rid of, so no one's trying to buy them anytime soon. Would you consider selling anyone in the squad, or do you think you've pretty much been quite sensible in your recruitment and signed quality players in the squad?
City don't really sell too many players. The only time players really leave is when they're sort of at the end of their deal and they decide to move on, or they just want to leave for another reason. I hear that Bernardo Silva was a bit unhappy. Doesn't really like Manchester apparently, or England, I should say. Wanted to move somewhere a bit warmer, which I don't blame him. I want to as well. I'm English, so I don't blame him. I know that whole racism thing that happened. Yeah, I think he didn't like the way he was kind of painted as a racist, but like me, I was not on his side for that, because I thought at the end of the day, if you do something and it offends people, just apologize. Even if you don't mean it, just apologize and move on. But he didn't do that. He tried to double down, and I think for that reason, I didn't have any sympathy for him in that situation. But he kind of didn't like the way he was kind of portrayed and stuff like that. And apparently, this is just what I'm hearing. He's not happy because of a bunch of things. Apparently, not playing in the same position. He's being moved around as well by Pep. Apparently, he doesn't like that. So, there's a few things that are kind of coming out. I don't know how true it all is. But, he might want to leave. That could explain why we're trying to get Grealish. I think it's likely that he might leave. Obviously, Garcia and Aguero have already gone to Barcelona. So, I don't really see too many people leaving. Apparently, Delap, who's just been promoted to our first team, apparently he's been linked with a move on loan. Okay. So, he might go. But we would have to get Harry Kane in first. There's no way we can not have a striker. And I even think Harry Kane on his own is a risk, because one injury to Harry Kane, and we've got to go back to a false nine. So, I think we need Delap in our squad. As a backup striker, because we went from having 4 strikers. Like, I remember we had Aguero, Balotelli, Edin Dzeko, and Carlos Tevez. So we went from having 4 quality forwards to 1, and then we've now got none. Like, it's just, it's a bit mad. It's a bit mad.
In regards to Bernardo Silva, I'm sure Liverpool fans don't like him. That whole racism thing, for me, definitely. The way he kind of responded and didn't really apologize doesn't stick well for me as well. So on a personal level, I don't like him. Don't know him personally, but I didn't really like that sort of tone from him. And also, when Liverpool won the league as well, he didn't clap for us in the sort of the walk. So there's a bit of agenda there, but I don't like him at all. So I don't think anyone will miss him in the Premier League. But I could see him leaving actually, because of the sort of the emergence of Folden in the team, and Mahrez, like you said, has had a good preseason so far as well. You've got 2 right-sided players for that right wing position there, and you've got Ferran Torres as well in the squad. So you've got an abundance of talent for the wing areas. And in midfield, if you were to sign a centre mid, there's no space for him whatsoever. So I could see him possibly leaving this summer. So I don't think anyone will miss him, to be honest with you. But let's play fantasy football. So you can just say on record 3 players that you would love to see at Man City.
3 players. Yeah. Definitely Haaland. That's my guy. Definitely Haaland. Any 3 players. That's difficult. God, trying to think. Who would I love to see it to? I'm going to say, because I think we do need a left back. Just trying to think. I'd probably take Davis, you know, even though he's not a out and out left back, or even like, you know, Alaba plays in every position going like that can cover for a left back, because we need one of them. And then we need a DM, but I don't know which DM I would want, to be honest.
What about Kimmich from Bayern Munich?
Ooh, yes, Kimmich. Pep would love him back.
Yeah, he would.
I would take Kimmich actually.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a baller. So if I see any team signing him in the Premier League, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'll be doing a podcast that long.
I'd love to sign Jude Bellingham, because I think he's so good, so young. He is. I'd love to see him at Man City. I don't see us ever getting him, but I think we'll get a player that good, that young. He's
I don't want to hear that. I want him at Liverpool. That guy, from what I saw in the Champions League, amazing. At 17 years old, playing at that level, that's like one of my dream signings.
He was the best player on the pitch against us.
He was phenomenal.
So really good. Last time we got mashed up in the Champions League, because obviously we did win, but you know, he was like causing us problems.
Yeah.
The last time that happened was Monaco, and we went and bought Bernardo and Mendy. Both of them were terrorizing us. So I'm surprised Pep's not been linked to Jude Bellingham, to be honest.
Yeah. I hope that never happens, because that's a player that I really, really want at the club. I'm surprised Manchester United didn't sign him, to be fair, because they were heavily linked to him before the Dortmund move. And I had United fans saying, he's not a big deal, just some youngster. But if you see how he plays, I'm sure a lot of United fans will probably regret that decision there. But no, some very interesting choices there. But that pretty much wraps us up for today. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Yannicka, please let everyone know where to follow you on social and where to follow you on your channel as well.
Yeah, it's at Yan City on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube mainly on Sarcasm City TV, so subscribe to them, and also Yan City ENT. So yeah, that's it really.
Cool. Thank you, Yannicka, for coming onto the show. Really appreciate your time. Pleasure talking to you. I'll probably invite you again in some capacity during the season, probably sort of like a lead up before the Liverpool and City game, which will be a fiery encounter as always. But thank you for everyone tuning in, and we shall see you guys very soon. Take care.